The Mandela Mining Precinct is the largest public-private partnership in South Africa. It's a collaboration between the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation and the Minerals Council South Africa. And our mandate is to do research, development and innovation for mining extraction in pursuit of what's called the Samudi strategy.
And I think from a safety and an efficiency perspective, there are some really interesting examples of automation across the board. So how can you reduce the number of people that are required to operate LHDs underground? How can you remove those people out, make it a little bit safer for them? I think it's much better to be working in an air-conditioned room, controlling a dump truck, rather than out in the middle of a desert or a deep underground.
So from Grobbelaar's perspective, what does AI really mean in the context of safety and security today? Not as a buzzword, but as an operational tool.
Taking that back to the safety portion, if we allow someone into a mining environment with an infectious disease that can cause problems into our workforce, that causes time problems. We need to replace them, X, Y, Z. And we use AI on the front end to do predictive measurement of core body temperature that will give us the sort of the medium of our workforce to understand when there is temperature rises that there is possibly infection in the community. And that becomes really effective, because that will probably the worst thing you want is a community disease that infect your or influence your mining operation. So there we use AI to do that for us. It's predictive. Now the next question would be that data, who does it belong to? And that is probably the most critical question for European or non-African based investors is, where does that data sit? Because data privacy within the context of the world becomes more and more important. Using existing stuff that people have been doing for years, let's take an example of a camera. It was normally the security manager that put a camera at the gate. So out of his budget, we said, no, that camera's got a lot of other purposes, probably health and safety primarily. Now it's 70% used for health and safety, because we can validate PPE as the guy goes through the gate. So that budget doesn't sit in the security portion, it sits now in the operational, the health and safety portion.
When we talk AI, for me, the technology doesn't come first, the people come first, especially in South Africa. And I think that's possibly, and please, if you're Canadian, don't shoot me, possibly a difference in approach between Canada and South Africa. Who here has a smart watch on? Just show of hands, right. So someone's tracking you full time, but you've given permission for that. Now, if you're handed a wearable to go underground, and it's don't worry, it's for safety. In the South African history of mining context, how much trust is there that this is not going to be used for purposes other than safety and location? So I think that's one of the big differences between South Africa and Canada is our history.
The first one is kind of change management, which I don't think I need to get into very much. Obviously, changing the fundamental way that an operation is being operated, and you need strong leadership there. The next is ownership. Is it fair to expect the metaphorical plant guy to know that your AI system needs your training in certain situations? Is that person able to track changes in a data scheme of an obscure system that sits at corporate head office and communicates over the internet and is managed by a different party? The next factor is trust. A rational way of deciding whether the system should be used or not is if it provides more benefit than it costs. But that's ignoring the psychology of the adoption of these systems. So if an expert operator is told maybe twice by some black box system, whatever technology is using to do something, and it doesn't work out, trust will be lost, and that system will very quickly turn into disuse.
You know, in the so-called Fourth Industrial Revolution, it was all about robots. Now we're talking about Industry 5.0 and the use of cobots, collaborative robots. With the introduction of AI into collaborative robots plus smart wearables, you're starting to get real-time feedback to the operator, which can be massively beneficial. And I think one of the things that few people talk about is that as we get, let's call them the operator, more familiar with the use of AI, it opens up their career and job pathways outside of the industry because mining is finite.